In 2009, Hales Corners detective Kent Schoonover met with renowned criminologist Richard Walter. Schoonover needed help solving the 1976 homicide of 14-year-old John Zera. At the time, a prime suspect in the case was Michael Uporski, a former full-time substitute teacher at Franklin High School, where John was a freshman.
And he told me about the murder, and he told me about a primary suspect, and it didn't make sense to me. I was going out to smoke, and then he said, when you come back, I'll tell you about the diary, which caught my attention.
And he's like, oh man. He looks around and says, we gotta find a room with a whiteboard or a chalkboard. So we go into another one of the classrooms that got whiteboards all over the place. And my eyes just like, oh my word, what did I screw up here? You know, I've been looking at the wrong guy.
As soon as I knew that a diary existed, that's called not only a clue, that's also called a major red flag. The suspect is raising their hands and saying, I did it, I'm your guy. By their own behavior, they have identified themselves.
The diary belonged to Daniel Acker. Acker had been spotted near the crime scene the day after John's body was found. He later told the police he had been there the day before as well, conducting his own search for Zera.
Bob Keppel did a study years ago that showed that, particularly in murder cases, okay, that there's a 97+% that the perp's name is going to be listed in the first 30 days in the file. Now, the perp may not be identified as a suspect. They may just be a witness, they may be the neighbor, they may be whomever, okay? But they're there. Basically, Acker at that point had raised his hand on so many key, critical points.
To Walter, Acker's statements during a 2009 police interrogation illustrate those points.
What we have is immediate interjection with the police that is rejected by them. He becomes more insistent.
It hurt me. The reason it hurt me, and the police would never believe me, but I said, guys, I was going to ride my bike in the park.
He then decides to lead his own investigation, which is classic to certain elements of the crime.
Well, it's a long story, but the patient at the mental health center, and I will say this honestly, was there.
Was where?
At the crime scene.
A patient at the center was?
Yes.
How do you know that?
Because I interviewed him privately when I was working on the ward with him. And
did the police ever talk to you about it?
Yes, they did, and they won't believe me. They won't believe that he could be part of the crime. And it frustrated me to pieces.
He then interjects into the family.
So I sent a letter and I said, would you mind if I have something here that I think is important? I don't remember what I wrote, but she wrote me a nice letter back, said, yes, stop on by, and I did.
Generally, their post-crime behavior, the killer's post-crime behavior is going to be different than all the other suspects that are not involved in the case. The murder is not over when the victim dies. The murder is over when the perp stops deriving satisfaction from the killing.